Today, let's look at how 5 OA students were brutally murdered by cultists on July 10th, 1999. Until today, nobody has been brought to justice. Fasten your seatbelt because this is going to be a long ride. The Obafemi Awolowo University massacre was a series of shootings and massacre which took place against the students of Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, Osun State on July 10th, 1999, resulted to the death of 5 students and 11 were injured. It was carried out by an organized death squad of 40 members of a confraternity of that university branch. They invaded the Awolowo Hall of the university at around 4:30 a.m. all dressed in blacks and their faces covered with masks. They carried and made use of shotguns and hatchets on students. Let's look at what led to the massacre. What actually led to this massacre was a result of an aftermath of what happened Saturday, 7th March 1999. A group of confraternity members held a meeting in Ife. After the meeting, they drove back to campus. On their way, they were overtaken by some students in another car. For whatever reason, this got them very angry and they decided to give these students a chase with their car. The students, seeing them in pursuit, raced to the car park, ran into the adjacent Awolowo Hall for safety. The students' union, which had also gathered information that secret cult members were gathering in a house in the senior staff quarters, mobilized in response to the incident. They were led by George Iwilade, known as Afrika, the General Secretary of the SUG. A group of them drove to the house officially occupied by Mr. FM Mekoma, forced their way into the boys' quarters. They found 9 individuals inside, 8 of them students of the university with a submachine gun, locally manufactured gun, an axe, black coating and regalia of the cult group. University authorities were quickly informed and these cult members were handed over to the police. They were held in police custody and taken to the magistrate court, but 2 weeks later, they were granted bail. The way the matter was handled by the police and court system, who broke from protocol, common sense, and destroyed evidence. This was how they failed to prosecute the students that were involved in the incident. The case was heard on 31st March. To everyone's surprise, the chief magistrate discharged and acquitted the arrested individuals. The students who had apprehended these court members were not called in as witnesses. The IPO, Corporal Femi, claimed that the witnesses could not be located and he actually stated in court, "I tried to contact the complainants in this case, all to no avail. To date, there is no complaint in this case, since all the accused members denied the allegations against them and there is no complaint. There is no way the allegations can be proved." This was the submission of the prosecuting officer. Usually, in some cases, witness summons were served through the university administration, but this did not happen. The trial was concluded in 2 court appearances in 8 days. The magistrate ordered that the submachine gun should be sent to the police and other exhibits destroyed, thus eliminating all evidence and making it very difficult to reopen the case. Following the failed prosecution, these cultists returned to school, much to the dismay and concern of other students. Under pressure from students, the university authorities were forced to suspend these cultists, but failing to send out suspension letters officially to some of these cultists, informing them of their suspension. The university was closed as a result of student crisis. When it reopened months later, these same cult members returned to school and were seen attending lectures. Students raised alarm once more. That was when the university authorities were forced to release these letters to the suspended cult members. The suspension letters were dated 8th July and it was doubtful whether those affected received these letters before the tragic event 2 days later. Now, the massacre. On the 9th of July 1999, a group of students held and organized a party in the Obafemi Awolowo Hall. Later in the night, many of the partygoers began occupying the cafeteria of the Awolowo Hall, while others returned to their residence to sleep. At about 3:30 a.m., now 10th July 1999, a large number of cultists reported to be between 22 to 40 of the confraternity arrived to carry out a pre-planned assault on the university with intentions of assassinating several prominent members of the student union. There are allegations that this assassination were sponsored by the university vice chancellor Wale Omole. Until today, it is unclear if this is the case. Upon arriving at the university, the cultists drove through the main gate and proceeded to the car park, came down and went on their foot through a bushy path, firing guns, holding cutlasses and axes. Instantly, 4 people were left dead. Another died from gunshot wounds later. More survived from gunshot wounds. 25 others received minor injury. The victims, which included the then Student Union General Secretary George Yemi, also known as Afrika, 400 level law student, Eviano Ekelemu, a graduating student, Yemi Ajiteru, a 100 level philosophy student, Babatunde Oke and Ekpede Godfrey were gunned down by these cultists. Tunde Oke was still alive after the incident but died on the operating table. The remaining 4 others were brought into the hospital dead. Eviano Ekelemu bled to death from gunshot wound. Others died of gunshot wound to the head. During the attack, many accounts that the attackers were shouting "Legacy, come out," referring to the suspended Student Union President Lanre Adeleke. The attackers also shouted the name of George Afrika and Dexter, the chief of Kegite Club, demanding that they should come out. The suspended Student Union President managed to escape by jumping through the balcony after he heard some gunshots. Dexter, the chief of Kegite Club, also escaped unharmed, while George Afrika, the secretary of the SUG, was very unlucky. Upon entering his room, they shot him on the forehead and smashed his head with an axe to make sure he was dead. It is reported that George Afrika was the only successfully assassinated victim. Afrika, who was said to have carried out the arrest, was mercilessly butchered, while the 4 others were just unfortunate victims. A group of the attackers then shot Yemi Ajiteru through the head in the corridor outside the Kegite headquarters. After successfully assassinating these students, the attackers left Fuji Hall on foot, went through the bush path behind the hall back to their vehicles, drove to the Student Union building which they ransacked, returned to their vehicles and drove out of the university through the main gate. The security staffs, having heard gunshots, fled for their lives, leaving these cultists unchallenged. This was how they brutally murdered 4 students of the OAU. Some suspects were arrested after this incident but later released. Till today, nobody has been brought to justice. Tell me what you think about this story in the comment section and don't forget to give me a follow.